Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Let me make sure everything's looking right here. Let's see. All right, looks like we're fired up. Okay, let me get over here to the games. So we're going to start doing this every Monday night, and if you guys are okay with this time, we'll start it at 6 p.m. Pacific. It's 9 Eastern. Gives me time to get a few things done in the evening. Let me just come to the chat before we get going. Make sure we got people here. I guess if they're not here, they can always watch it once it's over. Let me just come to the chat before. Oh, gotta mute that. All right. Hey, everybody. I don't feel like the man this week. God, this week was the worst. All right. Well, we don't have a full house. We'll see how this goes in future weeks. But we'll do it every Monday night for the rest of the season, review the games we got wrong. And for our first episode, we have the most wrong games to look at. So let's just start with Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football, you know, I got into this English extended cipher thing, and that was the mistake. Normally, I wouldn't even have looked at that. Again, Thursday Night Football sums to 257, the 55th prime number. We talked about how the Seahawks could improve to 5-5. I said this game was iffy. I said this isn't any game I'd be confident in gambling on. But we pointed out the Seahawks could improve to 5-5, where 257 is the 55th prime. It was a date with 19 numerology, and it was the 19th regular season matchup where Seattle equals 19. Seattle ended up winning. And really, in hindsight, not by surprise. I mean, I think those were the biggest indicators there. 19th game, 19-date numerology, Seattle number, chance to improve to 5-5, and they did. Something else we were looking at is it was Russell Wilson for the Seahawks. He had the chance to make the series 11-8 with a win in his 118th game as an NFL quarterback, and he played college football at Wisconsin 118. So, I mean, just looking at this in hindsight, it's like, you know, I'm going, why did I favor the Packers? I mean, that's quite a few things in the Seahawks' favor. They had the record alignment with Thursday Night Football. They had the overall matchup. You had Russell Wilson playing the team from Wisconsin in his 118th game with a chance to make it 11-8 in the series. So, and it was also the first game of Week 11. It would have kept the Packers at 11 wins. We also pointed out that if the Seahawks won, it would become 13-9 all time. 13-9 all time, like how Green Bay's 139. And it did. So, I mean, just even looking back at the notes, it's like, you know. But this right here was interesting. This was pointed out to me. And I'd seen the relevance of the English extended cipher before in sports. But this had us thinking that maybe the Packers could become 5-4-1 against Seattle. And I was also saying, well, maybe they want to make that NFC North a little bit tighter with the Packers win, they're in third place. Not used to seeing the Packers in third place. We pointed out that Rodgers' away record was 43-43, so it was hard to see, which way that could go against Seattle, because Seattle's 44. Either way, it could have made sense. I did point out that 107 was the 28th prime, which he was at, and Seattle's also 28 as his Packers. So he stayed there at 107 wins. This was one in the Packers' favor. The fact that he could get his 99th regular season win to start week 11, where 11 has that gematria of 99. We noted that Rodgers could get his 41st loss on TNF, going from 40 to 41, where TNF equals 40 and 41. That happened. We pointed out that Russell Wilson was 9-5 against the NFC North. He could become 6-9. Green Bay Packers 69. From the other way around, it would be 6-9. That happened. The game had a numerical alignment with Seattle's QB too. He had the interesting birthday alignment. We pointed out that Carroll could get his 84th win in Green Bay Packers is 84. He did. Stayed on 84 losses all time. We did point out that both teams could be 6-2 on Thursday Night Football on NBC, and now they both are 6-2, where NBC has the gematria 62. So, you know, I just feel like looking back at this, the big mistake was giving this weight, and I gave this a lot of weight. You know, overwhelmingly, the numbers lined up for Seattle, and they won. So I would say that's just bad job looking at the numbers and picking the game and giving this way too much weight. But live and learn. So let me just go to the chat and see if anybody else has anything to chime in about this game. What's up, everybody? What worried me is Showtime has that Inside the NFL show. I watched it for the first time this week. Everybody on that panel picked the Chiefs. Usually when I see these columnists all pick a certain team, that team loses. So I just noticed everybody on Inside the NFL thought the Chiefs were going to win. Okay, but let's we're doing the review of the games. If you guys just want to have a chat about tonight's game, we don't need to be doing this right now. So people said they want to review the games. We're reviewing the games. Does anybody have anything to say about the Thursday Night Football that I didn't cover? I know this is a Sports Live blog, yet my friend had rapper Lil Baby in his last music video and just exonerated for his murder charge in a stand your ground case. Okay, I'll open up a tab here so I remember to look at it later. Is that how he spells it? B-A-B-I-E, or is it like this? I don't see any breaking news right now, so I don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, and Green Bay's 139 too. All right, well, I'll look it up later. All right, to stay on topic, I don't see anybody chiming in about this game. So Here, let's go to the next game that is incorrect, which is this one right here. And this was the game that I had a bad feeling about because I was just thinking about Dak Prescott and Prescott Bush on Yale Skull and Bones Day. And there ended up being a ritual murder of one of the Cowboys players. Here, I'll just cover that real quick. If you guys didn't see this story, yesterday during the Cowboys win, Michael Gallup's brother supposedly committed suicide. Now, remember, this was the day leaving 43 days left in the year. As we talked about, Dallas Cowboys equals 43, football 43, Masonic 43, Yale 43. Again, Walter Camp went to Yale. He probably was in Skull and Bones. Suicide equals 43, so does killing. So his brother dies. And then I looked up Michael Gallup's birthday. He's born on March 4th, a date that can be written 4/3. And he also went to Colorado for college. Colorado's got the gematria of 43 too. And then there's also a date with 67 numerology, the blood sacrifice number. So anyway, so Dak Prescott, the star of the Cowboys, well, their quarterback, Prescott Bush, don't think that that's an accident. Pointed out how the date had 22 numerology. Dallas equals 13 and 22. The player who lost his brother was number 13. The Cowboys ended up winning with 22 points on the date with 22 numerology. We pointed out that the Cowboys led 14-11. They could get their 15th win in Atlanta. Atlanta's 15 on a date with 47 numerology, the 15th prime. That did happen. So should have gave more weight to that. Get that 15th win in Atlanta on the 47 date. The last time they had played was 53 weeks ago, and that's what got me thinking sideways. You know, I've made that mistake several times now with Atlanta this year. I keep thinking when they get the 53s, they're going to win since they're hosting Super Bowl 53. They seem to be losing all of these games. And the one thing that pushed me over the top to pick the Cowboys was the fact that the owner of the Falcons, the game was on the 53rd day of his age. So when I saw it, I was just like, oh, they got to get this at home hosting Super Bowl 53. Nope. It was, it was the Dallas Cowboys with the alignment with the date that prevailed. And with regards to the Skull and Bones thing, the score of this game was 22-19, 41 points. Skull and Bones equals 41. Like how George H.W. Bush was the 41st president. Member of Skull and Bones, the son of Prescott Bush. Remember the week prior, George W. Bush was at the Cowboys game and they won on the road against another Bird team. So Cowboys knocking off Birds in back-to-back weeks in subtle Bush family, and the Bush has got connections in Texas, tributes. So I just think this was another dumb pick by me here. I think the numbers on this, the numbers suggested what would happen. I did point out, though, that the Cowboys could have fallen to 1-5 with a loss on the road. That didn't happen. Instead, they got that 15th win in the series, so that had more meaning. And I've noticed that making picks off the away and home records, they haven't been so helpful. So overall records have definitely been more indicative of what will happen in identifying which team this game is scripted for. So I'm going to start giving away and home records less weight when I'm picking, because it's led me to a number of wrong picks this year. Something that did make a little bit of sense was that Dak Prescott could become 13-9 on the road against the Atlanta Falcons, which equals 139. Instead, he got his 14th win. And remember what 14 is. It's the number that goes with 43. This game was on the day leaving 43 days left in the year. 43 is the 14th prime. So I should have thought deeper about that. It was also Dak Prescott's 42nd regular season game, and Dak Prescott equals 42. He became 2-2 against the NFC South, winning with 22 points. Dak did. got his 22nd win on a Sunday on a date with 22 numerology. So again, I mean, we understand the way the games are scripted. Sometimes myself and others of us are struggling to pick right, even understanding the formula for how they're scripted. So Matt Ryan is getting, a week before Matt Ryan lost to the Browns, we were thinking he would get his 104th win over the quarterback Baker Mayfield, born on the 104th day of the year. That didn't happen. We know 104 connects to the establishment date of America for numerology, 7 plus 4 plus 17, 76. They call the Cowboys America's team. So we were thinking, that might make sense for him to get the 104th win. We thought it might also make sense for him to stay on 74 losses against the Dallas Cowboys, 74. Nope, wasn't that way. He did pick up his 31st loss in week 11, where 31's the 11th prime. So again, got to think more about those prime numbers, getting that 31st home loss week 11. That's what happened. We also pointed out he could get his 28th loss at home from the team from Dallas, Texas, which he did. Dallas, Texas, 28. Ryan, 3-1 against Cowboys. We thought he might become 4-1. Instead, he ended up losing in a game that summed to 41 points. He stayed at 14 wins on the day, leaving 43 days left in the year, 43 the 14th prime. That should have registered for me when I was thinking about this. Hindsight's all 2020. This was a big one that tipped me the wrong way. And Dak Prescott, this game was 112 days after his birthday. Matt Ryan equals 112. More often than not, when it points to a certain way, that team wins. But you know what? Now in back-to-back weeks, we had numbers like this pointing to the Falcons, and they lost. So that's why there's no rule that I've seen where it's always true. It's a usually thing. But now I've identified 2 weeks in a row where it was pointing towards the Falcons this way. Remember the week prior, the Browns coach, it was 119 days from his birthday, Falcons 119. Well, the Falcons ended up losing both games. So, those ones are tricky. Those are tricky. But what ended up being the bigger ritual here was 43s and 14s on the day, leaving 43 days left in the year. So perhaps we need to pay attention to these relationships in light of how the other numbers are lining up with the date numerology. Or I've been contemplating doing one of these weeks without even measuring from birthdays and just looking at records and dates to have less things to look at. When I used to pick games, I felt like it was just so much easier. I didn't spend that much time on it, and I generally got like at least 75% of games right week after week. And these days I'm a lot more thorough. I'm looking at a whole lot more information, and I'm not sure that the results are any better. But part of the reason we've started to look at more information over the years is try to figure out where we're off on the games we were off on in the past. We're looking for those hidden variables that we still haven't yet discovered. And, the same problem still seems to prevail. So, also from the owner so far, pretty much every single game where I've had the owner having me lean a certain way, I've noticed I've been wrong almost every single time. So I'm not sure it's even worth looking at these owners' birthdays. For example, what tipped me towards the Falcons on this one was the fact that it was on the Falcon owner's 53rd day of his age. It's their 53rd season. They're hosting Super Bowl 53. And that was wrong. So if I'm going to continue to look at it, I'm just going to remember that just because things line up that way with the owner, it doesn't mean anything for them. So let me come out to the chat, see if anybody's got anything to add. Sports Gematria says he feels like reverse has made the picks worse. You know, I've been thinking about that too, because when I did this for the first few years, I didn't know reverse. But that said, I've realized that the reverse gematria is relevant to the scripting of the games. So it helps me pick up on, like when I'm looking at overall scores and stats, and I realize that those reverse numbers are relevant. But I'm not sure that it's helped us pick games more accurately. So I think you got a point there, Sports Gematria. Right, and Atlanta did fall 3-3 at home. ATL's 33. They're on the 33rd parallel. Matty Ice equals 33, born on the 137th day of the 33rd prime. So, well, Sports Gematria, I see what you're saying there about days being left in the year, but if we would have gone with that heavy on this Cowboys game, it would have led us to the right outcome. With regards to the 49ers game, what screwed that up was the fact that they weren't really going for their 49th win on Monday Night Football. That stat we found out was faulty after the fact. So, the way to do this, the way to solve this would be to have like a group of us do decode and pick games just using the regular alphabetic order and rules of numerology, and then another group do it using all four methods, and maybe even have another group just use reverse, and they'd have to be using all of the same techniques, but using those methods to determine their outcomes to see which group ended up being the most accurate. So Jeremy writes, the things that make him feel most confident is when I can match a franchise win-loss. So we're going to see that tonight with the Kansas City game. If Kansas City wins, remember what Jeremy said. The reason we ended up going with Kansas City is because we saw how the franchise win records worked. But I remember a week earlier this year, 2 of the 4 games we got wrong that week were games that we went off of the franchise win-loss record. And that's what made me say, well, I guess we can't completely rely on that because sent us astray on 2 of these picks. Going back to the Seahawks game real quick, you know, like this Seahawks read should have been clear. If this hadn't been given to me, and I wish the person who told me about this didn't tell me about it, I would have picked the Seahawks in this game. Because again, it had 19-date numerology. It was the 19th regular season matchup. That's big right there because that's a huge number with Seattle. And then the other thing was it was Russell Wilson's 118th game with a win over the Wisconsin team. It would be 11-8. You know, that's the kind of stuff that I like to see. And normally that leads you to who the right team is. And, you know, to me, just looking back, I'm like, why in the world did I not pick the Seahawks? That's the kind of stuff that's always paid dividends for me. When the win-loss records line up and make a lot of sense from multiple angles. And then also the Packers could have fallen to 13-9 all time, Green Bay 139. So, but even that, sometimes I'd say that way, when you pick games with those kind of alignments, you're going to be right 75% of the time. You're still going to get some of those games wrong. Like when we get to the Carolina Lions game, that's an example. That Carolina Lions game really surprised me this week. So here it is right here. Panthers, Lions. Carolina equals 73 and 37. Detroit equals 37. And that's just using the 2 ciphers that I've always used. You know, those are the ones that led to the bread and butter early in the days. Carolina, 73-37. Detroit, 37. And it looked pretty straightforward. Panthers improved to 7-3. Lions fall to 3-7. 7th win, 7th loss in week 11. The day leaving 43 days left in the year. Panthers 43. A lot of things looked really good for the Panthers here. There was one thing, though, that we saw for the Lions. I'll tell you what, I would have picked this game wrong every single time, you guys, even what I'm going to show you right here. But there was one thing we saw for the Lions. So Panthers led 7-2. Where was it? Right here. What was the big one? So we saw that Newton could get his 69th win. Lions with the alphabetic order 69. That made sense. We noticed he could improve to 8-9 against the NFC North in the Lions' 89th season. 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number. We've also seen all these riddles this year with the Mark of the Beast in the Black Panther movie, which came out on the 47th day of the year. And the Panthers, and it's been favorable for him where it comes up. This was week 11. I didn't even talk about that in our decode, but I just thought that was another thing in the Panthers' favor. I guess it was a cat versus a cat. But where's the one thing for the Lions here? Stafford, he could have got his 38th home win against the Panthers, and he did. So he could have also got his 75th loss against the Carolina Panthers, and that's also 75. So, that one could have gone either way, but just a lot lined up for the Panthers in this game. So, multiple people have said now in weeks, they said, Zach, it's obvious trolls are on here. You've had the media's attention. Is it possible they're watching you and they want to make you look bad by flipping some of these games? I don't know. Do we have that much clout? Do we have that much weight? I want to say I don't think so. But it is possible because, this game, for what I've observed now for years, this game should have went to the Panthers in a big way. So, I said that I thought this was one of the safest, if not the safest picks of the week. I still would have said that. Stafford could have got his 53rd loss against the NFC, Carolina 53. Just, I did point out that he get his 53rd win on Sunday too. Maybe it's more important to pay attention to this Sunday stat. I don't know. But still, just a lot lined up for Carolina here. And just one thing for the Lions. So there weren't anything that jumped out about the birthdays. Patricia, the game was 66 days after his birthday. Remember, 66 is the 11th triangular number. It was week 11. Number of the beast is 66, but I couldn't have given these kind of clues more than how the records lined up, and Cam Newton's win record and Stafford's win record would have made sense if the Panthers prevailed. So this is just the kind of game that I look at and I say, knowing what I know, doing what we're doing, we're going to get this game, a pick like this right more often than not. Sometimes it's going to be wrong. And that's just something we're going to have to live with, understanding that that's just the nature of the game. So come back to the chat and see if anybody else has anything to chime in about that game. That's a good point that all three teams hosting Thanksgiving won, but it's not that way every year. It's not the team hosts on Thanksgiving wins every weekend, the weekend before they host. Here, I want to see. I don't know what the third team is that's hosting this year. Oh, the Saints. Well, hey, what did I tell you guys about those Saints? I said, it's hard to go against the Saints winning 9 straight in this season where it's been all about 9 and 99. So you guys almost got me to come off that pick. This week could have been even worse. I had another guy call me after we were done and tell me I was wrong about the Colts and they were going to lose to the Titans. He said I should go back and change that pick. I said, no, I don't think so. I feel good about that one. Could have been worse. But, okay, Saints are hosting. There was a lot of 55 stuff last week, and that's because for a lot of teams, it was their 10th game of the week. It was the 10th game of the week. We know about 55 and 10. It was week 11, but for a lot of teams, it was their 10th game. So, yeah, you're absolutely right, JT. Yeah, it was. Well, we figured out what two games that we've gone over so far were just really bad picks by me in light of the numbers that were on the screen. I just did a bad job picking. And but we're talking about this Carolina Detroit game, and I'm explaining why even in review, I would still pick that game wrong. And again, that's the nature of this thing. We pick a game like Carolina over Lions based on the numbers. We're going to get that game right at least 75% of the time. So the time we miss it, we're just going to have to say, well, that's just the way it is sometimes. You can't win them all in gambling. It's a rigged thing. I wonder if sometimes there's so much money on a certain team that they just got to flip the game. So, something happened there with that. So Jeremy's making a point here about Detroit. He says Detroit got their 557th franchise win, and Detroit Lions equals 557. I'm not sure what cipher that's in. 557 is the 102nd prime. I didn't realize Cam equaled 102, but I knew Charlotte without the D equals 102, like Jeremy has up there. So that's interesting. That's interesting. I didn't see that about Bitcoin. Interesting. Here, I want to see what cipher that Detroit Lions equals 557 in, because is it English extended? No, is it Jewish? Aha. Yeah, I've seen Jewish be relevant in sports. Like the year there was the LeBron James train wreck that wrecked at 923. So, okay. So they got their 557th franchise win over the team from Charlotte. Maybe that's something we need to think about more, city names where teams are, because that is something that's relevant, city names. I'm talking about that all the time when I do my decode. So maybe in each week's decode, I need to be thinking about the city. And maybe that's the one right there. But then it becomes, well, how do we determine where the city is more important to the ritual than the things that are typically apparent? You know, that's where the trick becomes. Because that's just like what we were talking about earlier, where I made the mistake of giving that English extended Seattle thing too much weight and not picking Seattle, who had pretty much all of the meaningful numbers for the game. So great observation, Jeremy. That's true about Michigan. That's very true about Michigan. So maybe we got to give more weight to city and state. City and state, we got to think about it more. Because you're right, that is the way the records worked out. So now it seems like it was a city-state thing for that one. But it's not that way in every game. That's what's like... It just makes me wonder if it... Well, okay. Let's move on to the next game. Great observations there, you guys. Jeremy just linked his reference sheet. Michigan is 46-64. The Panthers fell to 6-4. Lions improved to 4-6. Okay. So Titans Colts, we got this one right. Remember, I got a theory that Andrew Luck's going to become 11-0 against this franchise because Luck's 11 and his father played for this franchise. We don't need to review this game. We've been right all year when we see how Luck has the 47 on his sign. So that's a riddle that we're locked into, and that one's been paying dividends all year. Both rookie coaches became 5-5 in their 10th games, 55-10. Another strong pattern that we're locked into. So Bucks, Giants, we got that one right. We talked 2 weeks ago about how the Giants could win 2 in a row and improve to 3-7 over the Bucks. They did it. And we do got to watch Eli's upcoming games in New York. His next loss at home is his 111th. New York's 111. That's going to be a symbolic one. And notice that the Giants from the 11th state had to wait until week 11 to get their first win in the column, right? 11-1. Redskins, Texans, we got this game right. We noticed that the Texans could get their 117th franchise win over the Redskins. And they did. So the franchise record, it can be helpful, but sometimes it can be misleading. So that was one we got right. Steelers, Jaguars. What did I say when I picked this? I said I feel insane saying that the Jaguars are going to beat the Steelers the way things are going right now, but the numbers do suggest the Jaguars could pull this out. And this is one of those games. There were 4 games we got wrong this week that ended on the last play of the game. This was one of them. The Lions-Panthers game was one. Was the Cowboys game one? I forget. There were 4 games that right at the end the lead changed. But Steelers, Jaguars. This was on the day leaving 43 days left in the year, which was favorable for Jacksonville. The Steelers were 5-7 at the Jags, so we noticed the Jags were winning more at home. I pointed out the Steelers could become 6-7 on a date with 67 numerology. They did. Should have thought more about that. The date numerology is usually where it's at. We talked about how it was Big Ben's 229th game, the 50th prime, Steelers 50, Pittsburgh 50, so that was obviously important. He could have stayed at 43 road losses against the Jaguars on the day leaving 43 days left in the year. He did. So that was a big one. But we saw that he could get his 66th regular season loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That didn't happen. We also saw that he'd get his 40th regular season loss on a 40-date numerology. Something that maybe I should do is just go back and look at what's been more important, regular season stats or overall season stats. And I really do think they're both important, but I wonder if one has more weight at the end of the day than another. So Ben was 4-3 against the Jags. We pointed out that he could improve to 5-3 in the year of Super Bowl 53. He did. Pennsylvania's also 53. So shouldn't have discounted that. We pointed out he get his 19th win on the 67 date. 67, the 19th prime he did. That was against the AFC South. We saw Bortles had that same 19 opportunity, but for the Steelers, it lined up in 2 ways. So I guess there was more points there. We talked about how he could get his 47th loss on a date with 47 numerology. He did. We thought he could possibly improve to 7-4 against the AFC North because Jacksonville's 74. That didn't happen. For Tomlin, we pointed out he was going for his 123rd win. He could get it over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 123. He did. We pointed out Marrone could get his 31st loss against the Steelers. He did. And I remember doing the review. I said, if I was just going off the coaches here, I'd have to pick the Steelers. I should have stuck with that. And for the owners, see this owners thing, I thought because it pointed to the Jaguars for both owners, I kind of let that push me in a certain direction. So, it pushed me in the wrong direction. So, you know, I feel like looking at this game, I did a bad job picking as well. I mean, just looking at it now, I'm like, wait a minute. You know, that made too much sense. This was strong here. The coaches pointed one direction. You usually, you know, sometimes I look at this and I'm just like, what was I thinking? But if the QBs point a certain way or the coaches point a certain way, it usually ends up being that way. And really, this game, I would just say this is you know, bad job by me again. So we've looked at 3 games this week where I did a bad job. And I'll come to the chat and see if anybody else has anything to chime in. I don't know if there was any big 21 on the game. I don't remember that being a number. Okay, so Bengals Ravens. We got this one right, and we pointed out that if Lamar Jackson starts, they would improve to 15-8 at home. His full name equals 158. We even talked about how Louisville's 99 miles from Cincinnati. Played college at Louisville. And I pointed out with the coaches here that Harbaugh was going for his 99th win. 11 equals 99. He was facing the coach who has the same birthday as him, September 23rd, both born on the day, leaving 99 days left in the year. So I felt that was I felt, especially if Lamar Jackson started, that was strong for the Ravens. And so anyway, we don't have to review it. We got one right. The one thing that was scary, though, was that Dalton could become 9-6 and Baltimore Ravens is 96. That didn't happen. So, and I think Baltimore Ravens is 96 in reverse. So, could be interesting to do a week of decoding without the reverse, like the old way I used to do it. So this Raiders game, I said that there wasn't enough information to make a pick, and then you guys threw some stuff at me, and I changed my mind, and I should have stuck with what I initially said. And the other part of me, in the back of my mind, my buddy Darrell, who's the big Raiders fan, it was his birthday on this day, and I was just like, should I just pick the Raiders because it's Darrell's birthday? That's probably the way it's going to work out with the universe. And it ended up happening that way, which is kind of funny. But we also talked about how Gruden – we talked to, you know, we pointed out 3 weeks ago that there were 3 upcoming games with 40 connections where Gruden could get his 40th win, and this might be the easiest one for him to do it, and that ended up being that way. So this was the 10th game. The Raiders led 5-4. They improved to 6-4. Raiders were 3-1 in Arizona. We pointed out that they could become 4-1. Oakland's 41. They did do that. And Oakland's 41 with the reverse alphabetic order. So see, that's what I mean with the reverse. It's obviously got some relevance. It was 22 date numerology. Um, Oakland's also 22. So we pointed out that Derek Carr could potentially, what was it? He could get his 13th win. Oakland's 41 the 13th prime. That did happen. He said he could also get his 39th loss. That didn't happen. So it seems like just looking at these games where we're wrong, the other stats like the Sunday, the conference, the division, it's not quite as important as just the overall records, which we traditionally look at. It was oh, this was another big thing. It was 93 days after Gruden's birthday, and Gruden's 93. I was looking at that. I was thinking, that's an interesting alignment there. And again, that's the reverse as well. So this is what I'm saying. Why I don't think we can just throw out the reverse. I still think it's worth looking at. So there wasn't a lot of information for this game. When I first said that, this game, there's not enough information to make a pick either way, I should have just stuck with that and left this in a wait and see. These are two teams that have been inconsistent this year. They've been hard to get a read on because we have a quarterback, Rosen, who doesn't have a lot of stats to work with. And then we have the Raiders that have just seemed like they're in perpetual tank mode. But Jonathan, who's not here this night, he brought up the interesting point about Larry Fitzgerald and the theory of why the Cardinals would beat the Raiders in tribute to Larry Fitzgerald, who thought he was going to be drafted by the Raiders. And also the theory about if the Raiders lost to the Cardinals, they would be for sure lined up for the first overall pick in the draft. We were also considering the fact that the Raiders could go 1-15, which is now out the window. I'm just trying to think if there's any other the date numerology had a lot of alignments with the Raiders and Derek Carr in Oakland, but historically, just even acknowledging that, you can't get a consistent read off that. Sometimes it connects to the score. So I just think there wasn't a lot here to work with. And it was another game that got decided on a last-second field goal. So come back to the chat, see if anybody has anything to chime in about that game. Fitz had a big game, though. Yeah, so Fitz had a good game, but he just didn't get the win. It was Carr's 13th away win, too. Yeah, yep. So the 41-13 thing was going there. But yeah, this game, I mean, I think initially what I said about there not being a lot of information, kind of a game to stay away from, I think I had a good call there on that. Notice the over-under was at 41, and Oakland did end up going 4-1. So oftentimes, I've said that before, the over-unders, those things are pointing to things that might very well happen by the end of the game, the outcomes, because the average gambler isn't going and looking at like the team history and what the records are going to be. So see if anybody else had anything to note about that game. I don't know of any 88 connections with the Cardinals. Sports Gematria says, I want to point something out that no one has mentioned yet. Those splits for the Sunday division record, etc., all include games where the QB didn't start on Pro Football Reference. Yeah, you're right about that, Sports Gematria, and I've mentioned that too. That's why I don't know if looking at those stats are helping us lead to correct outcomes, because they might be clouding the data, and then we might be reading something that's not actually accurate there. So I'm wondering if we should just drop that from our read. We're trying to gather as much information, but if the information's not correct, then it can be misleading. So the ref crews are something we could start looking up, but does anybody have a good website to look up what team is officiating what games before they're played? Because usually that's not information I get until like the game's starting. So if somebody knows where we can look up the officiating crews, I mean, because I can do that stuff for the Super Bowl, right? They put out that information for the Super Bowl weeks in advance, and I do it for the big game like the Super Bowl. But for weekly games, I don't know where that information's at. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so maybe in the weeks ahead, I just need to throw out those stats, and we need to stick to what's on. Again, this website has the accurate start records. It doesn't have all the games where a quarterback came in midway or came in to kneel the ball. I think maybe we just need to stick to these stats. So, oh, this link, huh? This link's got all the officiating stuff, huh? Nice work. Footballzebras.com. I should have known, huh? I had no idea this was a website. Okay, I'll bookmark this one. Thank you, Jeremy. Good work as always. Well, I'll tell you what, a week of simple decodes would save me a lot of time, because I'm putting a lot of extra time in thinking about all this extra stuff. And yeah, if it's not paying dirt, then it's not worth it. And I think I overlooked a lot of obvious this week. Yeah, I mean, just looking at these games that I missed on, some of them, I'm just thinking, like, what was I thinking? So, anyway, Broncos Chargers. Now, this was another game that I thought was safe for the Chargers, and they lost. So, you know what? Notice Chargers is 43. So far, there's only been one team so far that had the 43 connection with the date that won, and that was the Dallas Cowboys. But they had the deepest riddle of all with this too, because they had the Dak Prescott, Bush, Yale, Skull and Bones, Bush family in Texas. Plus the Bushes were at the Cowboys game the week before. So they had the deepest connection to this number. Every other game that we've seen this, we picked wrong on this team. So I used to call this, I've called this for years now, falling on your number, where the number favors you in the game and you lose on it. We thought the Chargers would improve to 8-2, like 82, because Vesica Pisces is 82. It's the season of Super Bowl 53. Los Angeles and Vesica Pisces also summed to 53. I thought the Broncos would fall to 3-7 because Los Angeles equals 37. Plus, it was the 117th matchup. 13 equals 117, like LA equals 13. That did not happen. I also thought that they'd fall to 1-4 away. and LA has the gematria 14 too. So again, the away and home record reads have not been helping me out this year. It's not to say that you shouldn't look at it at all, but they have not helped me this year. That I can say. So Keenum, I thought he'd get his 14th away loss. You know what I probably should have been thinking about more was this right here. Week 11. Week 11. Who knew for sure that the Bears won last night on primetime football when they went for the 2-point conversion at the beginning of the game to start the score off 11-0? As soon as that happened, I knew it was dead. I knew Trubisky was getting his 11th win. So, week 11, I guess I shouldn't have discounted the 11, Keenum getting his 11th away win in week 11, because that's what happened. 11 is the master number. It's the biggest number in football. And that this is probably the one number it came down to for this game. Case Keenum getting number 11 on the road in week 11. And that went for both. So I did think Rivers would get his 67th win on the 67 date numerology. I mean, the one big overlook here seems to be this 11. But a lot made sense for the Chargers to win this game. So I did point this out, that Rivers could get his 89th loss. 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number. He could also get his 37th loss at home in Los Angeles, is 37. You know what else I'm thinking about now? Again, the NFL is a QB-driven league, right? We all know this. It's a QB-driven league. I'm coming back up to this Lions game just to emphasize a point, because these were the two games that I thought were the safest, because so much lined up for the teams that ended up losing. But I just want to go back to this point about Matt Stafford real quick. The one thing that the Lions had going for them in this game was that Stafford, where's he at? He could get his 38th home win. Oh, I guess I noted it here. And Panthers is 38. What's the numerology of 38? 3 plus 8 is 11. So that 38 had an 11 connection too. The 11s in week 11 prevailed. And that's a note that you want to tuck away in your mind for next season, because the thing is, next week, week 12, like if a team could get their 39th win in week 12, the numerology of 39 does break down to 12, but it's not 12, because 12 breaks down to 3. You stop at 11 because it's the master number. And I'm going to remember that for sure next year when week 11 rolls around. QBs and 11 opportunities, that's something I'm going to be giving a whole lot of weight to. We were talking about that with Andrew Luck in this week, and why I think Luck's going to end up going 11-0 against the Titans. So anyway, just wanted to make that point. 2 games that surprised me. It looks like it came back to the QBs and 11. 11. Hey, I just noticed it's halftime in the NFL game real quick. I'm just going to pause. I just want to look at the halftime stats. 23-23. Okay. What do we got for halftime here? We got 213 yards. Remember, Monday Night Football is 213. LA's the 213 area code. Gotta love that. Goff's got 163 yards, the 38th prime. 38's got the 11th thing going. We got 43 rush yards over here. We got 31 rush yards for the Rams, the 11th prime. The receiving stats aren't jumping out at me like they often do. Kelsey with 53 yards is interesting. But that 213 passing yards, Monday Night Football, 213 LA, the 213 area code, that's no accident. So. All right, let's get back to the decoding. I just want to take a little break to check that out real quick. All right, so the 11s burned us in those two games that I thought were the safest games of the week. And I got to tell you guys, I feel like a real ass when I tell you I think they're the safest pick of the week and they lose. So apologies to everyone who took my advice. I am not here to mislead you, and I feel very bad when I do. But yeah, I mean, I should have thought more about the 11 thing. We thought the Broncos coach could pick up his 18th loss on the 18th. That had some merit to it, too. That didn't happen, though. It seems more often than not, it comes back to the QBs. It's a QB-driven league. So Eagles, Saints. You guys, I had this as my favorite pick of the week, but you guys got me to come down off the mountain. I was saying, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe there is some upset narrative here, but again, you guys, Drew Brees, 999. It's been going on all year. Again, Drew Brees, New Orleans, they both summed to 45, the 9th triangular number. He had to get 9 in a row. I mean, he just had to, and he killed him. So, and what we really got to start thinking about is, could they be the team? Could they be the team in this NFL season, which has everything to do with the flag and history and the War of 1812? Again, you guys, the Battle of New Orleans ended the War of 1812. The first score of this NFL season was 18-12, and we were talking about this before the season even began. With Alex Smith breaking his leg, it's hard for me to imagine Colt McCoy taking them to the Super Bowl. But backup quarterbacks have done it before. So the Redskins aren't done for, but just the way they're doing these rituals with Drew Brees, and they won the Super Bowl 9 years ago. I think we really got to think about the Saints there. We've said from the beginning of the season they're a team to keep an eye on. The way the narratives are stacking, we got to think about this team. So they got the numbers for the season. And I said that this game could be a passing of the torch type of symbolism. It was a 48-7, 55 points. Last year, the Eagles won in Minneapolis, 55 land. They made the Patriots 5-5 in the Super Bowl. So but I remember last week you guys pointed out that they could become 9-9 with an upset at home in the 99th NFL season. I said, yeah, maybe, but they could also become 10-8, big geometry number, 108 game balls for every Super Bowl. So we got this one. Well, a lot of us got this one right. Again, for everyone who picked this game wrong, you just got to there's consistent themes each year in the NFL, right? And when you pick up on those themes, you got to ride those. It's like how last year I said, watch, the Eagles are going to start 10-1. And the Eagles did start 10-1 last year. And that's because Donald Trump took on the NFL over the flag on September 23rd, 101 days after the flag's birthday. And I said then, just watch, the Eagles are going to go 10-1. They did. And I said, if they do that, you'll know that they are the team for the Super Bowl. And I feel like we're starting to see these same type of riddles with the Saints, and especially them getting their 9th straight win over the biblical city that was in the Super Bowl last year, the Eagles. Just think about the things those of you who watch sports, you know what kind of stuff's said when the playoffs are played, right? You got a young quarterback versus a veteran quarterback. What do you expect to hear the announcer say when the veteran wins the game? Oh, he's been out here doing it for years. I mean, that's where the experience pays off. You hear this kind of crap every single year. If it ends up being Jared Goff and Drew Brees in the NFC Championship, because we know Alex Smith's done now. And I thought Alex Smith, I thought he had a lot of numbers strong for this year. So now that he's done, that hurts what I was feeling about the Redskins. But we still got to watch him. I mean, Jeremy's pointing out a lot of things. A lot of you pointed out a lot of things. They would have the Nick Foles thing going like last year if they did it now. But the Saints are getting the kind of riddles that we see for Super Bowl teams, and so are the Rams. So those teams are obviously part of the narrative, but just letting you guys know this ninth straight win over the Eagles and it being the score that it was, that's not something you want to sleep on. Brees got his 99th win against the NFC in this game too. Remember, 11's 99, Drew Brees 99. And he went from 98 to 99, like how the Eagles won the Super Bowl to conclude the 98th season. Important. Vikings Bears. What did I say about this game? I said this one's tough because Trubisky can get his 11th win. 11 equals 99, like Illinois' 99, like it's the Bears' 99th season. And again, as soon as I saw the game start 11 to nothing, I just knew that was it. I just said, okay, it's about the 11. I shouldn't have doubted the 11 because it usually is about the primes in prime time. We pointed out that the Vikings with the win could have become 6-3-1. Hold on, let me pull that up here. 631 is a prime number. It's the 115th, and this was the 115th overall matchup. We also noticed the Vikings could get the 61st regular season win on the 18th, where 61's the 18th prime. Did you notice the Bears were going to 18 all night? But the thing is, Bears equals 18, and that 11 was on the board in week 11. So going forward, I'm planning to do this kind of work for till the end of my days. I'm just going to remember week 11, 11 is the number that trumps all other numbers. That's what we're seeing by reviewing what we went wrong with. Where the 11 stood is where we should have picked because they turned out again and again. And that said, Alex Smith, he wears the number 11 and he got his leg broken too. There's always the exception to the rule. But that's what happened here in the Bears game, no doubt. I think I saw a defensive touchdown by number 39 on SNF. Am I wrong about that? I'm pretty sure that happened too. The over-under was right there at about 45. Illinois 45, Bears 45. They picked up their 7th win in week 11. The Bears got their 52nd win over Minnesota. We didn't have a 52 date connection, but that is what made this one tricky. Just the fact that the Vikings could get number 61 on the 18th. And I ended up going that way because the primes in prime time come up so much. But this week, it was number 11 that trumped it. And I can logically explain why. Because again, football is about 11. So I want to say I should have known better, but I don't feel too bad about picking this one wrong. I understand why I did, but going forward, I know better now. Week 11, it's 11. Cousins did get his 26th Sunday loss against the Bears, where Bears 26. He got his 12th loss on prime time against Chicago's, 37-12 prime. The tricky thing was, though, that he could get his 5th win, where 11's the 5th prime, and he could have stayed on 11 losses. So we did consider that, but it was about Trubisky getting the 11th win. Again, 11 is 99, like Illinois, like their 99th NFL season. That's why it went in his favor. They had the stronger 11 connection, the Bears. We did note that Zimmer could get his 45th win, and Illinois and Bears are 45. It didn't work out that way. We pointed out that Nagy could fall to 6-4, where Chicago Bears is 64, so is Soldier Field. Another thing that screwed me up in this game was this, that it was on Zimmer's 167th day of his age, the 39th prime. We just got to remember that in the future is not any guarantee that the coach wins, because we'll see that again. And could end up being are you guys okay? I have that TV on behind me, and I just happen to look at it. Like, if you guys are watching the game right now, that's just the stuff that just makes it so obvious that the NFL's a joke. I mean, did you see? You could just see those guys weren't trying to pick up the ball. They're just like, I mean, you could have. It's just I cannot. That's why I can't watch the games, you guys, because it's just like so annoying to even watch. It's like the ball's in his hands. Oh shit! I get paid $10 million to play score. Oh, I can't pick up the ball. Next guy tries. Oh, he like picks it up and throws it in the air. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway. For the owners thing, the owners thing was interesting in both games. The Bears owner had the connection that brought us to 11 as well. So 11's in week 11. That's the lesson there, I would say. And Monday Night Football, well, let's review what we said about this game since it's going on right now. The Chiefs can get their 467th win as a franchise. Hold on. It is not the 119th prime. It's the 91st prime. We'd been going for like 5 hours when I wrote that note. 467 is the 91st prime. And that matters because both teams are 9-1, and the last time the Chiefs played in Los Angeles was 1991, that long ago, and the Chiefs won that game. So that's a lot of 91 on the board. 91's the 13th triangular number. LA's 13, KC's 13. So this was the thing that made at least myself and others say, okay, we believe the Chiefs are the team to win tonight. But other things that we were looking at as we were considering is Monday Night Football equals 213. This game's on the 323rd day of the year. Both of these numbers are LA area codes, 213 and 323. So we'll watch. Today's date has 41 numerology, 41 LA, 41 the 13th prime, bringing it back to LA and KC. We have 23 date numerology. What was the score at halftime? 23-23. Los Angeles Rams equals 83, the 23rd prime. On a date with 48 numerology, the Rams could become 4-8 against the Chiefs. That's if they lose. If they lose. We also pointed out that if the Rams win, they would be 5-7. Rams is 57. So that's what makes this one tougher. We were, until we made this connection here with this right here, I was pretty torn on this game. But then I said, okay, I'm going to let that be the tiebreaker, all the 91. This game's on the day leaving 42 days left in the year. Both of these teams used to be in Missouri. It'd be something if the winning score tonight's 42. We're on the day leaving 42 days left in the year. Both these teams used to be in Missouri. The Chiefs are 4-1 at the Rams. They could become 5-1. Rams equals 51, also 15. So from the Rams' perspective, they'd be 1-5 with a loss when they're playing at the Rams. The last time they played in LA was November 10th, 1991. That was a date with 112 numerology. Chiefs equals 112. They won that game, the Chiefs did, 27-20, 47 points. What do you know? The Chiefs won the last matchup 30-47, 41 combined points. Again, here they are meeting on a date with 41 numerology, the 13th prime. Mahomes, this is his 12th game. He can get his 11th win in week 11. And overwhelmingly this week, that's been the pattern. 11s. So will Mahomes get 11 tonight? It looks like I probably talked about it when we did the decode, but remember, when you write out 11, it equals 99. Patrick Mahomes Jr. is 99. They're not playing at Arrowhead Stadium, but Arrowhead Stadium isn't 99. 13's also 99, and that's another number riding on this game. So Mahomes, he's 10-1 on the road. He's 5-1. The one thing that goes against him is if he lost, he'd become 5-2 on the road. Los Angeles Rams equals 52. 5 is also the 11th prime. If he lost, there'd be a relationship to 11, but what seems more pure is him getting the 11th win. His only loss so far is against the Patriots. Patriots are 37, also like Los Angeles. 37, the 12th prime. This again is his 12th game. We pointed out that if Goff lost, he would fall to 9-9 at home. Again, 99th NFL season, all these 99s on it. Week 11. Goff could get his 13th career loss. This game has 13s riding on it. He could also become 9-8 at home. Kansas City Chiefs 98. Something that's in favor of Goff with the numbers on the game is he's 3-1 on primetime. He could become 4-1, like 41. LA's 41, 41 date numerology. The game's 64 days after Mahomes' birthday. Kansas City Chiefs 64. 37 days after Goff's birthday, Los Angeles 37. And then for another 91 on the game, it's Andy Reid's 91st game with Kansas City. 91. So, big one. A lot of 91s popping. That's the 13th triangular number. And I don't think I want to use the owners for any reference, but it is interesting to note that the game's 93 days before the Chiefs owner's birthday, and Monday Night Football is 93. So, we'll watch and see what happens tonight. The 91s are with the Chiefs. The thing we were talking about on Saturday was that almost all of the public money is on the Chiefs to win this game. And if that is a variable in how they pull strings for these games, if they have to, obviously it's like they can't always flip a game because the public money is a certain way. I mean, the Patriots, everybody bets on the Patriots. They win anyway, right? So it can't be just that. But does it happen sometimes to screw over the bettors? I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't. So I think we made a looking over the numbers, I think we were right to pick the Chiefs. We'll find out if that's the outcome. My record this week, if the Chiefs win tonight, I'll have 6 wins and 7 losses on the week. I can't remember the last time I ever picked below 500 doing this. If I'm wrong and the Rams win, I'll be 5-8 on the week, which was just like a nightmare. But I think for some of these games that I got wrong, I don't think it was because we did a bad job decoding. I think it's because I did a bad job analyzing the numbers. Seahawks game, definitely one of those games. Steelers games, definitely one of those games. And some other ones, some questionable reads by me as well. I probably was also – I know how significant 11 is to the NFL. I probably should have had the wherewithal to say, you know what? Normally it is the primes on prime time, but week 11, all these 11s on the board for the Bears. I should have said it's probably going to be 11. I won't make that mistake twice. So there's 3 games right there where it's just like, you know, I shouldn't have screwed that up. Chargers game, you know, it was foolish to overlook the 11 for Keenum on the board, but a lot did line up for the Chargers there, so I don't feel so horrible about that one. This Raiders-Cardinals game, I think I had the right instinct at first saying there wasn't a lot of information there, probably not worth making a pick on because it's too iffy. Should have stuck with that. What other game was there I'm not thinking about here? This Lions-Panthers game, again, that Stafford 38 and 38 having the numerology 11. It seemed that ended up being the spear right there. And 11's in week 11. That's just got to be the lesson you take from being here tonight and listening to this. I mean, that's what you got to remember going forward. You got plenty more years on this earth if you're going to do this. You know, that's the main point tonight. And then this was another bad pick by me, the Cowboys-Falcons game. I should have known better. Should have known better with the Dak Prescott and the Prescott Bush and the Bushes at the game the weekend before. I feel that this was a low-hanging fruit, and I didn't pick it. So, you know, you flip those 4 games right there, then it's not a bad week. So, Seahawks-Packers was another dumb one. You know. So, this shouldn't have been the bad week that it was. It was the bad week because I did a bad job. And again, I apologize to everyone. There won't be another week this bad. There will not. So I see a lot of people abandoned already. They don't even want to be around anymore. I see that I lost a number of people, but that's going to happen when you do this bad of a job. So it's not like I'm mad at them. I'm just like, they lost faith in me because of how bad the picks were this week. Which really they should have had a little more patience. I mean, I've been doing a really good job for years. So, you know, if you're a little more patient, you can say, okay, he had a shitty week. Let's see what he does next week. But I know how people are. Some people, you know, they don't have patience. They get pissed off in the moment. And so anyway, bring it back out to the chat. Did Brandon Cooks get hurt tonight? Very cool stat, Jeremy. Jeremy's got some killer stats here with the franchise records. Here's what I'm going to do next week. Next week, I'm gonna stop looking at so many of these splits because the stats aren't that accurate. And I'll spend more time looking at the franchise records. But again, the thing with the franchise records is they've burned me a few times already. So I know that the franchise records aren't 100% reliable. But that said, in the same breath, they seem to be probably more reliable than some of these faulty split stats that seem to be leading us astray. All right, I need to see what cipher Jeremy's looking at here with some of these big numbers. What cipher is that? What cipher are you looking at? English Sumerian. Okay, Sumerian gematria. Okay. Huh, okay. So Jeremy pointed out that the Broncos got their 474th all-time win over the Chargers. Sumerian's just taking the alphabetic order and multiplying times 6. So Sports Gematria sees a 83 ritual next week with Tom Brady, Mr. 83 and the Jets. No, auspicious. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing the community chats the way we are. I think it's fine for everybody to be here, and I think most of us know who the people who have the most experience and the most relevant information are, and we do it that way. I don't want to exclude people because I want people to be able to learn. And the thing is, like, no matter what other people are picking, it doesn't really have much influence on my pick. A few times this year, I've said, okay, I think you guys got a point. I'll flip it, but that hasn't happened very much. Um, so I'm not going to do that. But I do encourage all of you to do your own decodes and, um, and use your own instinct and, build up this research. Some of you are actual gamblers. Like, I'm not a sports gambler. I don't have a history of sports gambling. Some of you have knowledge just from doing that, understanding spreads and what spreads usually indicate. So take that knowledge and let this knowledge build on what you already know to help fill in the gaps. But I'm going to continue to do the community chat the way we do them. And I'll just make sure to do a lot better job with my own personal analysis. And this upcoming week, I am going to stop looking at so many of those splits because I think that's like it's making me look at too much stuff, and then I'm overlooking some of the obvious things that I should be more lasered in on. I saw that they got Mark Sanchez born on 11/11. I know, God, that whole thing with Alex Smith. Hey, okay, here's for those of you who are here, I think this is an interesting conversation. What do you guys think is going on in this world with Alex Smith's broken leg? If you saw my work on all the 99 and 11 on that thing, I mean, what do you guys think's going on? Because I got to be honest, this in the back of my mind, I've been saying, could there be real magic with this? Can they be like somehow? Are they really casting magical spells that are having influence on games, making crazy things happen on the sports field? And after watching Alex Smith's leg flop around like a noodle, I'm just going, God, I mean, what else could they be doing? I mean, I just saw it with my own eyes. Lawrence Taylor. Well, if anything, I want to go back and look at that recent story about Lawrence Taylor being shamed for sexual assault, just see if that even factored in. But you don't think Smith looked like he had any pain? I think he did the way he got on his back and spit like that. That's exactly what I would do if I was hurt too. The only way they could have faked that is if, like, Alex Smith has some weird extra joint and he knows how to make his leg wiggle like a noodle. But I don't think so. I don't think so. Brooklyn 99 Operation Broken Feather. Huh. Okay, yeah. Call in, Jeremy. You can call in tomorrow during the podcast or the radio show. I'd love to hear about it. See if I can look at it before then. I'll try to. Dan says it looked fake to him, but Dan, how? I mean, didn't you see how his leg jiggled around? Yeah, Alex Smith's career might very well be over, just like Joe Theismann. I mean, he's getting up there in QB years, busted leg. Huh, that's funny. That is funny. I looked at that Alex Smith replay a bunch of times and just watched his leg jiggle around. I don't know how they faked that. I mean, unless he has some weird special joint in his knee and he knows how to make his leg. But chapter 3 of the Kabbalion, I'll go reread it. Planning on talking about that tomorrow in gematria school. So let me look up this Brandon Cooks thing. I didn't know that he got hurt. So Brandon Cooks got hurt tonight. Let's see. I didn't see the injury. Oh, he's already come back to the sideline, so it doesn't sound like he's too hurt. All right, that's not such a big deal. And somebody wants me to look up something about DaBaby. Okay. Well, I'll look more into it and see it coming up there. Yeah, for the people saying it looked fake, I mean, I just, I've seen injuries that look fake in the NFL. I mean, they happen all the time, but Smith's thing did not look fake. What surprised me though is how his leg broke. That's what surprised me because it doesn't seem like his leg should have broke on that play. That's the part that weirds me out. But you can see the way it flops around that something is definitely wrong. I've seen people break bones in person, and that's what happens. Sometimes they even pop out of the sock, and you see this bone come through. But just the way it flopped around, that was the sign that it was not intact. Yeah, Jeremy's got a good point too. All right, you guys, we'll do the Monday night review every single week now. I don't think we're ever going to have this many games to review. I really do feel like we cursed ourselves in a way by setting this up and then how many games ended up getting wrong, but it's my fault. I did a really bad job this week, and I will not do this bad of a job again. It was like I needed to get my ass kicked to step my game up. So we'll be back tomorrow. When we do the Friday night picks, I'm going to have more prep work done before, because what I've been doing on Friday night is I've just been I'm usually running around and then I hop on online. But this week I'm going to actually have some games that I just want to give you guys rather than just looking at all these games off the cuff. But also when we do the Friday night decodes this week, if you can have a little leg work done, like if you want to ask for a college game to already have the QB, stats, birthdays up, the coach records, that'll make it, a lot snappier, and we can move through more games on Friday night decode rather than taking just hours to watch me break down the game. You know what's funny? I still have never seen the Gordon Hayward injury with my own eyes, but that one was just so weird. Just like the whole ritual, just everything that even happened before the broken leg. him and Kyrie joining the team, having the same birthday, all the rituals of them joining the team, and then him breaking the leg in the first game. And then think about breaking a leg for good luck, just that, just the phrase that we use. So a spread. So a spread is okay. So here, let's go to next week's games, and I'll explain what the spread means to you. So go to week 12. So Thursday, we got 3 games. Wednesday, you guys. Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, we'll do oh shit. No, we won't. I have my radio show. We'll do it earlier in the day. Wednesday at 3 in the afternoon. Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, that's 6 Eastern. We'll do a mini live decode of the 3 Thanksgiving Day games, okay? So something to mark down. Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. We'll do a mini live decode of these 3 games. But spread. You see how right here it says Chicago -4? That's the spread. And that means Chicago has to win by 4 or more points. So if you bet on Chicago to win the game and Chicago wins by 3 points, you lose the bet because Chicago didn't win by 4 or more. You see? That's what a spread means. So if Chicago won by 5, you win the bet. If Chicago won by 20, you won the bet. If Chicago won by 3, 2, or 1, you lose. So that's what a spread is. Here, Dallas has to win by 7.5 over the Redskins. That means if Dallas wins by 7 points and you bet on Dallas, you lose because they didn't win. They have to win by at least 8 here. Dallas has to win by 8 points for you to cover. Here, New Orleans has to beat Atlanta by 13. So by more than 13 there. So that's how that works. That's a great point there about breaking a wishbone. The thing with turkeys and the Redskins losing their quarterback, breaking his wishbone. Well, not exactly, but he broke a bone before their Turkey Day game. That is an interesting thought. All right, you guys, let's wrap it up for tonight. I've been looking at a computer all day. Again, we're going to do this every Monday from now on. Hopefully Monday we don't have any games to review. That would be nice after this week. But Wednesday we'll do the live decode on the 3 teams, and that's going to be at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. And if you can't be here, don't worry because it'll replay as a video once it's over. So. D'Angelo saying Falcons the best bet of the week. Well, I'll see if I agree with you once I do some decoding. You're ahead of me already. I haven't looked at this week's upcoming games. So, all right, you guys, we'll leave it there. Appreciate all of you. Thanks for joining and contributing. And great work, Jeremy. A lot of great points you brought up. Appreciate all the work you're doing. So. Until next time, truth seekers.